All right, guys. So we're waiting for our other co-host, which is Gigi Cohen, and this is part two of the. Sorry about that. I was actually charging my phone, so I'm going to take this off so we don't have this issue. But so I kind of went sideways there for a minute. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so we're waiting for Gigi to come on, but I want to talk a little bit first about my side of things, the numbers side of things, and what that means for 2022 coming up, and especially with Valentine's Day coming up, and just the change in the new year in general. But with all of these twos, I mean, we've been seeing the twos, going for a long time. I mean, since 2000, but we've never seen the twos like this. And two is a number of intuition and sensitivity. So when we come into a month of February, for example, we are talking off the hook sensitivity and, just a lot of people who are very sensitive to the energies may be moody. They may be, there might be some relationship challenges, especially because Gigi is going to talk about Venus in retrograde until January 29th, which is, it's going to affect relationships and money, values, all kinds of major things in our lives. So definitely, those twos are just going to rock our world, but also the sun signs and all the other signs. Not the sun signs. We're going to talk about the sun signs and how the Jupiter issue, which Jupiter is a huge planet of, I believe, destruction. And then we're also, so it's kind of like destroying, rebuilding, that kind of thing. And then we have the twos, which, I mean, what can I tell you when we're entering 2022 plus February is coming, which when we hit something like February 2nd or February 20th, 2022. So we have a lot of twos in there. So anyone who's really sensitive to energies, picking up a lot of stuff from people, it's going to be psychic energy off the hook. So if you feel like you're really like your radar is on, then that's why. But we're going to spend a little bit of time just talking about that, and then we're going to go into some readings. So if you want to get a reading, pop into, actually, I'm going to put up a banner right now so that we have the payment information, because a lot of people are using Venmo now, which I just got into the game of Venmo, so I'm just like new to this whole thing. So I'm going to put up Venmo and then the Cash app, I believe. Hold on. So hang on, bear with me here for a second, because I think Gigi is here. So I'm going to bring Gigi on so she can start talking about that. So Gigi, if you want to go ahead and start talking about the whole Jupiter and Venus, well, I put in the payment information, okay? And you can go ahead
Absolutely.
and start talking about that, and I can chime in again with the numbers.
Okay. So
I can't hear her, so let's just put her on.
no.
I can't hear you, actually, Gigi. So check your.
How about now?
You're not on mute on this end, so just check your mic on your side of things, because I can't hear you for some reason. Oh, well, hang on. There, now I can hear you. Sorry. I think everyone else could hear you but me. So now we're good. We're good.
Okay.
So yeah, we have some people coming in. I see Miss Angela. Oh, okay. Hey, she's in Dubai, I think, right now. Miss Angel Allison and Foxy Shells. Yeah, lucky her. She gets to go to Dubai. It's a place I haven't been to yet, so it's interesting. Hopefully she'll send some pictures. Okay.
Well, I've seen pictures, and it just looks like a gorgeous place. Lots of lights and
yes,
great architecture, and it seems great.
Right.
So let me see. Guys, I'm smiling. The camera finally worked, and the mic is finally working, and finally I'm on. Last night you couldn't see my face. I was able to say, but I kept getting cut off with the mic. So tonight is different, and tonight we get to be here with you for a little bit of astrology, a little bit of numerology, and then our plan is to do readings. So, just want to mention, first of all, thank you for joining us. This is exciting for both of us to be able to talk about, what's coming up for this coming year. We're about to step into a whole new chapter, not only a whole new year, but also a whole new chapter
Right.
in what's so exciting is that we truly get to write our own story and be able to have the gods and goddesses known as the planetary celestial influences be supporting us in this journey. So no, I'm not going to get into that until after Michelle mentions her part of the segment. But I just want to thank you for showing up, and we're excited to do the show again. To mention that we're going to be doing some readings. If you would like to participate in the readings, they are $10 for 2 readings. That would be both my part of the reading, and then Michelle will do a reading. So you get two master astrologer numerologists who are ready to give you some insight. And I believe, have that information that will be posted. There it is.
Yes.
And so we're accepting Venmo, Cash App as 2 of the platforms that you can participate with your donations. And if you're not able to send it via those 2 platforms or apps, please let us know. And we can also pop in the PayPal if that is, the thing that you need to use. So basically, for all the people who are watching the replay, this information is, for your consumption as well. And I hope you enjoy, watching the show, even on the replay, and then would like to invite you guys to join us next time that we do a reading show. And most likely we're going to be doing a show, if not this weekend, then early next week is what I'm thinking. Right, Michelle?
Yes, we're going to try to be on more often just because a lot of people need the assistance right now. I mean, we're all, I did a reading for someone today who was very severely depressed. So, it's affecting us all, this whole pandemic thing, the COVID, it's the depression and anxiety rates are through the roof. So, if you need answers to life's questions, we're here for you. So definitely, someone's asking, no Bitcoin or no, I just opened Venmo and
Not yet.
Cash App. So, and also Gigi, I just tried to invite you to the live on Instagram. And it keeps saying unable. It comes up as red. So if you pop in there to my live, you should be able to join. That's the only, because I keep inviting you and it says unable to, even though it says you're live. So we're fixing this issue. Oh, here we go. Okay, so
well, but if I click on the live, it gives me another audio, so I wouldn't want it to conflict with the audio that from StreamYard.
We can just try it for a second. I'm going to invite you now that you're in the stream and just see how it is. So I just do this issue. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh, I see.
Well, but if I click on the live,
it's double playing.
Right. I wouldn't want it to
okay.
with the audio.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's, if we put video. Sorry, guys, for we're gonna figure this part out. For now, we'll do it as it is, but at least you can hear Gigi because he's on Yard Stream, so it's not like I'm having a conversation with myself.
Yeah.
At least for now. And you're on your stream. So, and we're also live on LinkedIn as well. So we're learning as we go. So Gigi, I did a little bit on the numbers, and I was talking about all the twos, and then when we get into February, it's like unbelievably crazy with the intuition and just sensitivity and all of that stuff where relationships, I mean, typically because it's an Aquarius, right? And Aquarius is supposed to be the least feeling sign of the zodiac, and Valentine's Day is in Aquarius. So it's interesting this year how it's going to be because it's all twos. I mean, we're going to have like off the hook twos everywhere, which is very heart centered. It's all about intuition, sensitivity, all that stuff. It's very passive. It's very supportive. It's not in your face. It's actually an inward growth kind of energy. So we're talking this year, we're coming into a 6. So we were in career, which was really not career, but this whole year has been career, but it was more about finding your calling, your path, and your purpose. Then we're moving into a 6, which is relationships. And so you're talking about relationships. That's what 2022 is going to be really a big focus on. But the flip side is also creativity and creative expression. So we have to think about the fact that there's two sides to this. So it's not just going to be relationships the whole way through. And when I talk about relationships, it's basically relationships of all kinds. So it's like coworkers, friends, family, intimate relationships, the whole 9 yards. So it's not just the intimate stuff. It's everything. So definitely you're going to see maybe friends moving out, new friends moving in, shifting groups that you're hanging around with or like conversing with, like acquaintances, that kind of thing. But for the most part, I think the first part of the year, like you said, because of all of this, Venus in retrograde and Jupiter, relationships are first, and then the creativity based on the career stuff that we had been working on all this year, which is really our path and our purpose, which is big. So the creativity comes a little bit later, but relationships first. Because why? Because we have to focus on adjusting our relationships, who we're connecting with, in order to really step into our path and our purpose. So I think that's why especially relationships are front and center first. So that's what I wanted to say first of all with the numbers. So you can go ahead, because I'm excited to hear about Jupiter. And isn't Jupiter, is it expansion or is it destruction? It's both, isn't it?
Oh no, Jupiter is not destruction.
Which
Jupiter
one is it? Which one is the destruction or the
Pluto?
Pluto. Okay, I always get that mixed up. Okay, you tell us about what Jupiter means for us in terms of relationships and all that jazz.
Well, okay, so as in terms of relationships, I mean, I talked about Jupiter yesterday to a certain extent in terms of faith and optimism, and Jupiter is the guru, Jupiter is wisdom, Jupiter is also, to a certain extent, Jupiter can be about career, depending on the sign that it's in. Now, because Jupiter is moving, or it has moved now, we're officially into the energy of Jupiter in Pisces, because it has moved into, ingressed is the word that we use, ingressed into the sign of Jupiter. I mean, into the sign of Pisces. And Jupiter is the co-ruler of Pisces. And that's why because in my mind, energetically, Jupiter is so much like Pisces, and Pisces is so much like Neptune, and they're both meeting. They're going to both meet up in April. And so
April.
the last 2
That
weeks
is
in
so
April.
interesting. Because April is a 4, which is really, that's when we get kind of into gear for building. So it's like, March is like the thinking, creating ideas. Spring, we're getting into wanting to do things. And then 4 is like taking those ideas from March and building on them in April, which is 4, the foundation number. So that's interesting that it falls in that spectrum.
Yeah. So, and then just to go a little level deeper than with the numbers, if you add 4 plus 6, which is the universal year, you get a 1.
Mm.
So April promises to be a time where we can actually act upon our inspirations.
Hmm. Yes, exactly. Because it's a four, it's foundation building, so it's building upon those ideas. That's what I just, yeah. So it
Yeah.
makes total sense. I love it because numerology and astrology just they both match. It's like just a different way to see the same truth. So it's interesting when we have that double confirmation.
Mhm. But what's so exciting about Jupiter into Pisces, and what is, I alluded to it when I said we get to write our own stories. So, Jupiter is about the vision. Jupiter is about the higher vision, and the long-term vision. Shooting straight up into the sky, taking that arrow, because it's in the Western astrology system. The main ruler is the Jupiter is the main ruler of Sagittarius. And so Sagittarius takes that arrow and it shoots it up high into the sky, which,
Hmm.
represents the long range vision, the higher vision, and kind of like the North Star. And so we get to take that, and also we get to take the Pisces portion of it, which is about dreaming and imagining, and about taking those those components of a higher version of our mindset. So
Mm.
all these thoughts and beliefs that we've carried from previously, from childhood, and from the way that we've been doing things and the way that we've been conditioned to do things, we get to make a choice. We have a choice point. And I mentioned that
Mm.
Jupiter right now is square, which is a challenging aspect to the nodes that are saying bye bye in just a few days.
Mm.
Uh, they're at 0 degrees of Gemini and Sagittarius. So we
Mm.
have one opportunity before they float into Scorpio and Taurus to
Oh.
say, let's take that Jupiter juicy energy that is filled with faith and optimism and luck and expansion and good, vibrations, because Jupiter is like the Santa Claus of the zodiac. It kind of delivers that kind of optimism. You can just, when I say these words, I coined the phrase Santa Claus of the zodiac decades ago, and
Well,
now I hear it
you
all
should
the time.
trademark that. You should trademark that for
I
sure.
should have. I should have, but anyway, so that is actually the energy. I say this to talk about the energy of what we have right now that's really potent, and what we can take with our choice point, because it's a quantum leap. What I talked about, the square, is a quantum leap going into that place where we get to fill that vortex. I want to call it a portal or a vortex of energy right now. It's almost like somebody has opened up a portal, and the question is, or the invitation is, what would you like to place in this portal, place in this vortex, so
Mhm.
that by the time it moves on from now, you get to place whatever. So wouldn't you want to place all good, positive imaginings
Mhm.
and creations
Yeah.
that you would like to see? So it's a good time to really sit down, pen and paper, and be able to put those thoughts on paper. What is, your wildest dream for your life?
Mm.
Nobody is saying that you have to think about the how. No one is saying that you have to worry about the mechanics of it all. We're just saying that you have the invitation right now to put all that stuff it's almost like making soup.
Mm.
You wouldn't say, well, I don't know how to cut the chicken to make chicken soup. But if someone says, just tell me what you need for the soup, what do you want in the soup? And I'll take care of the rest. The vortex is saying that.
Interesting. It's so funny you say all of these signs because I have been not only in my chart, the Sag and Gemini and Scorpio and Taurus are people I've been attracting. So I was talking about how we're kind of moving other people out, moving other people in. It's that, kind of shifting energy to get ready for creating a new world, a new
That's right.
beginning, right?
Chapter. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's so interesting that I not only have several of those in my chart, but I've been attracting that energy like crazy, whether it be like Taurus moon, Sagittarius people, Gemini people. But these are people I've never ever attracted in my life before. Even though I have those things in my chart, I have never attracted them. So these are new people coming into my life that obviously are meant to be there because I never even dreamed that these people would even match with me, but I guess they do.
Well,
Um,
I have to agree with you on that, and I have to acknowledge that. Like that is real. And
yeah.
when I say that from a place of experience.
Mhm.
I also have seen throughout my life that I've gone through what's that word? Patterns. I've gone through all of a sudden Capricorns will show up in my life, like left, right, and center. And I don't normally have that sign in my life. And all of a sudden, I've got like, I'm meeting people in the last couple of months and
Mhm.
they're in numbers like, oh, another Capricorn? Really? Another Capricorn? So I very
Yeah.
much resonate with what you said, and it's
Well,
real.
well, Capricorn and Cancer, because you're a Cancer, but you have a Leo moon, which they say the sun sign of Leo and Capricorn, they don't necessarily get along, or they don't, but the moon sign's different. But definitely, that's another sign I've been attracting a lot is Cancer. And I've always been attracted to Cancers because you say that they're opposite, right?
Mhm.
And that's been something that I've always resonated with people who are Cancer. So you're a Cancer, I'm a Capricorn, so it's a good match for sure.
Yeah, very often they attract one another because they're kind of like creating a balance. Very often they have what the other person doesn't, and on both sides, right? And
Yeah.
so, like for instance, I'll take you for example. And I've seen this with my Capricorn friends. Although I have one Capricorn friend that she's very much like me, so it's very interesting. But she also has a Leo moon.
Oh, see, I have a
Yeah,
Scorpio moon, and
right.
then Pisces rising. So there's a lot. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a weird combo. I mean,
yeah. So, but I love
especially because
earthing.
I'm not a typical Capricorn. Like I have organized chaos. Like I'm not the organizational. Ducks in a row. I am practical to some degree, but not.
Yeah.
I'm a risk taker, really. And I think that's my Sag. There's
Mhm.
a lot of
Right.
Sag. That's my risk taking. Like I don't know. I'm a risk taker. I've always been. That's how I built my the first half of my career was just do it, just rip it off like a Band-Aid and go for it. So,
I feel the Capricorn in you, and I can see that you have the determination of a Capricorn.
yes.
I can see that um, but that determination, it comes through very strongly for me,
Mhm.
and it kind of has tentacles. It's like branches. That the things that branch off from that is your desire to create something that's going to be sustainable for you, like a book, like a couple of books, right? Not
Right.
everybody necessarily puts in the time and effort and has the determination to follow through. I mean, let's face it, a book is a project, quite a big, undertaking.
Well, my books I wrote, it was kind of a download. I did it in 4 months, both books, and they came out back to back. So it was literally, they were a month apart with different
Wow.
publishers. So, and then I have a third one that's done, and I have a signed contract. So it's yeah. I mean, it's not that hard to write a book, but I think also Sagittarius is very much a determined sign as well. They can be a little lazy, but I think that has a lot to do with mixing with my Capricorn because I just really resonate with the Sagittarius sign lately. I don't know why. I really don't.
Sagittarius is more risk taking.
And that's what I'm
Sagittarius
saying.
is more
Yeah.
an adventure, like the Fool card in the tarot deck. They're willing to say, "I'm ready for another adventure," and they kind
Right.
of step out on the cliff, right at the edge
Yeah.
of the cliff with the knapsack on the back, nary a care in the world. When they make that decision, they're off and running, and they have, as a result. they enter with a sense of courage.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's me with the risk taking. I think the Capricorn's less risk taking, but
Right.
building. But then I have the Pisces rising, which is the dreamer. So like I dream big, but I take the risks too.
So speaking of dreaming big, this is a time to dream big.
Well, I'm
And
ready.
and definitely. And and you mentioned in the promo for the show that, we'll be talking about love and relationships.
Yes.
Well, I've got to say that, Jupiter in Pisces, Venus likes to be in Pisces.
Oh.
And yes, it's very comfortable in Pisces because Pisces is a romantic sign, and
Mm-hmm.
Venus is like, ooh, we can combine desire and romance. Oh, what a bonus. And so
Right.
she feels really good in Pisces.
Yes.
So I say that to say that Jupiter comes along and everything it touches, gets expanded. Everything it touches, like, grows.
Mm-hmm.
And so our desire, perhaps, and even our imaginings, and even our intentions,
Mm-hmm.
and what we want to create about higher love,
Mm.
true love,
Right.
this is all up for grabs this year. It is
Nice.
high, it is infusing higher love, higher purpose.
Right.
Us, if you want to be an entrepreneur, uh, you know, being able to find what it is that you feel is your gift, what you want to offer to
Ooh,
the
I love
world.
that. I love that part because I was saying in the beginning that, well, actually, I touched on it, but I wanted to just elaborate is that so many people are becoming entrepreneurs because they're saying, to heck with it. I'm quitting this job. I don't care where my next dollar is coming from. I'm just done with it. Like with the COVID stuff and everything, it's like people are shifting gears and it's going to be a vastly different world because it's more of a bartering system coming. It's more of a, um, if everybody's an entrepreneur, where do we, how do we change? That's why the money is changing. So that's that's huge. Like even the baby boomers are becoming entrepreneurs. They're coming to me saying, Michelle, I've done this job all my life, but I don't want to retire. I want to do this. And then the millennials are already doing the entrepreneurial stuff. So, and then Gen X, which is the middle group, I'm in the Gen X, so I've been through like the new age stuff and, so I'm like the middle group. I've always been an entrepreneur. So we're kind of the ones that aren't quite into the entrepreneurial thing. I have been, but not all Gen X. So it's like that's the middle group that's going to have the hardest time, I think, with shifting over.
Which one?
The Gen X shifting over
Okay.
from a job, like I call it a job, to actual entrepreneurial, doing your own thing.
Mm.
So a lot of them are still clinging to their jobs and trying to, and the boomers and the millennials are already to heck with it. I'm jumping ship and
Yeah.
doing my own thing. But the millennials have already been doing that anyway from the get go. They knew
Yeah.
exactly coming in. Yeah.
I wanted to mention that, because I find that the millennials, and even like I have two sons, one is 29 and the other one is 24. Uh,
Oh,
yeah, so my 29-year-old is from the Pluto and Scorpio generation, and my 24-year-old is from the Pluto and Sagittarius generation.
there's that Sag again.
Yeah, yeah. And what I find is that both of these age groups, one being a millennial, and what is the other one? A Gen Z is the
Something like that. Yeah.
younger one, or Gen X? Is it Gen
Yeah.
X?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, both of those age groups, I would say come to this spirituality arena
Mm.
with a sense of
Yeah.
um, almost familiarity.
Yes. Yes.
I seem to attract them, and I've taught quite a few. I've mentored a few people from both of those age groups,
Mm-hmm.
and it seems like a flow. It seems very second nature to them, almost, when I
Yes.
talk about it. And
Yes.
and they're so grateful when I help them fill in the blanks, because that's what it is for them, is I'm really helping them remember. Like I felt when I was reading my first metaphysical book at age 13, which was on reincarnation, and then I picked up my first astrology book at the age of 15. In both cases, I felt like I was waking up cellular memory. It was almost as if I knew before I turned the page, or before getting to the next paragraph, I almost knew what the next concept was going to be. I had this like knowing, and then I saw the words on the page. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Yep.
and I just kept having that experience over and over again. And so
Right.
that's what these generation, for the
That's
most
what
part,
it's in.
there's a much bigger group of people that I'm witnessing that is having kind of coming to the table with that cellular memory already in place.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And plus, I think you resonate so much with these people because you're speaking their language. It's like you
Yes.
have that sensitivity where people born 2000 and later, for example, are like the true millennials. They have to take, it takes a special person to actually understand them because they don't speak the same language, or speaking the soul language rather than here. So that's why they have issues with traditional learning in school, those kinds of things, because they don't learn that way. They learn from here. And so some of them seem passive, some of them seem lazy, but it's not that at all. It's they just operate from a vastly different. It's like we should be learning from them how to be, because they're very passive in a lot of ways,
Really?
and they don't necessarily talk a lot. They just want to be. And I know that sounds lazy in a way, but it's not.
No. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's interesting. And you speak that language because you have such a sensitivity about you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I do agree with that. Like that's what I feel from them. They feel grateful. They feel like, wow, I can actually be understood. I can actually speak to somebody about someone and not really feel like my words have to be filtered, or they're not understanding me, or
Mhm.
this, that, and the other thing. And which the reason I bring this up is because we are moving further and further into. I also find there's a component of truth. There's a component of authenticity that
Mhm.
they have, that uh, people are like myself. Am seeing more and more people talking about authenticity and how important it is to be authentic,
Yes, yes, yes.
and how even on marketing platforms, how important it is to be authentic. Well, I think that marketing is, it's almost like the movies is a reflection of life. Well, marketing is a reflection of what's up and coming in the in almost like the generational heartbeat.
Mm,
Like each generation seems to have a pulse and a heartbeat that is
yeah.
unique in and of itself and different from the one before, and of course from the one that's after it.
Right. Right. That's what I was saying about Gen X and, like, being through the new age, where if you say to a millennial, like, what's a white light bubble or something, they're like, what? Like, so you have to be careful the way that you word things, because these major groups, these two major, like the millennials and the boomers, they don't understand that stuff. But you're right. Each kind of one has its own pulse, and the authenticity factor is so huge, because the millennials in particular, when they were younger as children, they came across as rude or to a lot of people because they weren't ready for the authenticity, because they're speaking from here, not from here. So when they say, that haircut doesn't look good on you, or whatever, like if they're saying that to somebody, they're like, what? Like, but they're just speaking from a place of authenticity. It's transparent. It's like they're not filtered. There's no whipped cream and the cherry on top. And some people aren't ready for the truth. So that's the whole thing. It's like they're not being rude. They're just speaking truth. And that's so huge. And the other thing, I have truthtribenation.com. So if anybody wants a podcast or any of that, we can send you a package, because we have podcasts, we have e-learning, we have all kinds of things. And the reason why it's named Truth Tribe Nation is because it's all about truth, but it's all about finding your tribe. It's like finding the people who resonate with you. Like you were saying, these people come to you and you just understand them. It's like your tribe. It's like you don't have to say much or they don't have to say much, and you guys get each other. So those are your tribe. Those are people that are your tribe. So I think the relationship stuff that's coming is that it's like getting rid of the people that aren't your tribe and that don't get you and don't resonate on the same level, and bringing people in that do. So I think it's timely that's Truth Tribe Nation. I really like it. It's a good
I love
title.
that.
It
Yes.
sums it all up. Yeah. So
I love that. We are moving into the time of truth.
yes.
Yes.
Because we're at the bottom of the barrel. I mean, look what we've been through. We've just been stripped of everything. It's just like people are fed up and they're like, speaking the truth and just going with it and sticking with it. And I love it that a lot of people are, sticking to their convictions right now and saying, this doesn't serve me, or this isn't right for me. And instead of following the masses, a lot of people are shifting gears right now and turning the page, where before they were like sheep following the masses, and now it's not like that. It's changing. So I think this year coming is going to be huge for that.
Yeah. So sometimes your sound seems to be cutting out at the end of what you say. I'm not quite sure why.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because it's raining like cats and dogs here, like pouring rain. So the internet is not exactly stable where I am right now. Because
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
so that's why. I mean, we've had, every time we've done this, Gigi, we've had a rainstorm.
Well,
So
it's been raining every single day
pretty
here.
much. Yesterday was not, but today it's back to, and then we're done. I think we're done for a little while. So we'll be good. But
Just
yeah,
in time
that's
for me.
why my connection is not so great. But it's okay. So we're in the second half. So if anybody has any questions or wants a reading, like a mini reading, put your comments either on the Facebook Live or here in Instagram. So, and I'll pass it on to either Gigi or myself, depending on what you want to hear. And
Do you see anything coming in through Instagram?
no one has put a question, but please go ahead. I mean, we're here if you have a question about love, about money, about anything, I mean, we're having a huge shift, and I'm sure that you're all feeling it. There's no question about it. It's a
Okay,
huge.
so John Williams says he requested a reading via Cash App.
Oh,
So
was this on Facebook?
on Facebook, yes.
Okay. I don't see it, but okay, great. Okay.
Oh, John, you're resonating with what I said. It seems like, for remembering cellular memory. Broadband has changed everything, and now okay. So, John, I would imagine that you sent it to
yours,
into.
I put it, yeah.
Okay, into it. Okay,
Yeah, because it was last minute, and I was just putting it on, so it's
that's
through
fine.
your stuff. Yeah. Okay, so go ahead, Gigi. I mean, if does he have a specific question, or just wants a general reading of what's going on for him?
Let me see. I am checking my Cash App now. Okay, so there is no question, but he did give us his birth date.
Okay.
And so his birth date is 3/20/75. And John, if you have a specific question, please let us know. Otherwise, I think we'll do a general.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, go ahead. You go ahead first while I'm calculating. I'm trying to hold my phone because it's charging. So we're improvising here, people, but it's fine. Let's see. You go ahead, Gigi, while I'm adding up.
Okay. So I was going to pull some cards. I don't have them in front of me. So let's go ahead. I'll give you what I'm getting in terms of the numerology. Well, first of all, it seems like you're a Pisces. You're close to being an Aries. So I'm not sure whether you know definitively or not, but I would say, every year the sun goes at a different rate of speed. So sometimes it crosses over that cusp into the other sign sooner or later, one year than another. So,
Oh,
um,
I'm going to put myself on mute because there's puppies here. And
okay, so let's see. John, so we've got 320. So personality wise, you're a 5. And then when we add the year, your life path becomes a 7, 6, 13, 4. So it's a 9. Now, someone with a 9 life path would have the experience of being compassionate, perhaps having a feel for doing something that serves humanity, the bigger whole, and as well as nines can, our life path is not just what we might gravitate towards, but it also is our lessons and our challenges. So a lot of times people say, "Oh, you have an 8 life path, for instance. Oh, you must make a lot of money." Well, maybe they do, and maybe they don't. Maybe they're in a period where they're still learning how to amass money, and maybe they've lost money and made money again. So there's lots of ups and downs with the life path number. So 9 is your life path number. 5 is your personality number. I wouldn't be surprised if you are very curious. You like to learn. Maybe you like to teach people. Maybe you like to write. Maybe you like to travel. These are all 5 qualities that I would liken, or I would equate with, in astrology, what we would call the rising sign. So the personality comes out in ways that people get to see, what your flavor, like a personality, your sun is one thing, and your rising sign gets to express what the purpose of who you are, why you're here, through your personality. So it doesn't necessarily describe all of you, but if I said something to some people, your friends that know you, they would say, "Oh yeah, that's John."
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I definitely, it's interesting that this date of birth, because my mother is March 20th, and I also have a good friend who's March 20th. So very interesting. And you're right. It's on the cusp of Pisces Aries, because definitely I feel that flavor with my mother and also this friend. But this particular date of birth is very interesting because it's a 27-9. And we could have 9 different combinations of 9, but a 27-9 takes a little longer to come into their own, to come into what they're meant to be doing. Because we have Mother Teresa, Gandhi, a lot of the great spiritual leaders had to go through a lot. And this particular 9 is humanitarian. 9s are humanitarians. But the thing is with this one, because the 7 is in the weaker position, 7 is all about that truth and finding your truth. And it's all about trusting yourself and trusting others. So they always look without for a long time and searching for answers outside themselves. But what they really need to do is find the truth within and trust it. Then they can trust other people. So it takes a little while for them to do that. But this person was born with the arrow of spirituality, the arrow of determination, and the arrow of inspiration. So right off the bat, I can tell you with the arrow of spirituality, it's like the Dalai Lama has this arrow. And they have a very peaceful aura about them, very calming, very, it may be that they have found it a little bit earlier, but I'm looking at the cycles though. This year in particular is a 1 for them, but they're going into a double 11, which is 1111. You know, I've got the tattoo 1111. And I just today saw 1111 again. I'm seeing it everywhere. But what that means is this year has been a year of new beginnings, or, you know, a lot of changes, a lot of stuff. Then entering a double 11, which is a peak of 11, and also an 11/2, 1 + 1 is 2. It's a lot of inner stuff, a lot of inner growth first. And it's vastly different from what they've been in, because they were originally in, the first cycle was career, right from the get-go, from adolescence all the way up until about, mid 30s. And then,
30s, yeah.
yes, and then 6 was the second cycle from up until 45. So they're just now entering this 11 peak cycle for the next 8 years. And so they just entered that in the 9, actually, is when it would, the 9/1, which is last year and this year, but 6 before that, which is relationships. So basically you could draw a line in the sand and say, okay, that's like another life. And now they're entering an 11, which is huge. And then the last cycle they're going to have is a 7. It's like, hey, listen, I've been there. This is what happened to me. So 7 is all about teaching. It's all about sharing what you've learned. So it takes them a while to get into what they're meant to be doing, but they're full of wisdom and knowledge. They're such great teachers. And, you know, it's those double 11s are going to be huge in a 6 global year next year, because it's really going to be about relationships, mostly with themselves first. But once they get that trust, then they're going to look for that trust within others. So it's going to really bolster their confidence in themselves, but also explode their career and their life, because then they're going to trust other people as well, because until they get that inner self-trust, they're never going to be able to trust anybody else. So relationships are going to blossom, and that's all kinds of relationships. So it's going to be a big year for this person coming up for sure. So they're kind of heading into their path and their purpose too at the same time, those double 11s, and then heading to the 7. So they're done with learning all the crap that they've been through and then drawing the line in the sand. So
So John, the other thing that I really feel about this year coming up for you, as Michelle mentioned, it's going to be an 11/2 year for you. I was feeling that this next year is going to be a sort of a spiritual quest for you.
Right inside.
An inner spiritual quest.
Finding
and what's interesting is this Jupiter in Pisces is really going to support you because of that 9 life path. The 9, for me, feels very Piscean. It's kind of like an Aquarian Pisces mix, where it's humanity, which is very Aquarian, and it's also spiritual. 9 is also, the number of compassion and spirituality.
Yes.
And so we've got that energy big time this year that is coinciding with your spiritual quest, which can only feels like it's going to be extremely supportive for you. So if you've been thinking about stepping into that arena of learning more things, the more spiritual side of life, the getting in touch with the more spiritual side of yourself, which would be the inner spiritual quest. But like Michelle said, by the time this 7 comes around, and even I'm feeling even before this 7, you're gonna make that progression to being able, because your wisdom is inside of yourself, your guru is inside of yourself. And this year is going to really, as long as you're open to it and you're making room for that, it's going to really open that up for you. It's going to expand it. It's going to make itself, really known, and where it's divine timing.
Yes,
and
very much is.
you get to discover it.
Yeah, and I want to add, Gigi, that the gift that this person has is a 5. So if you add the month and the day, it shows you what their gift is, and it's the expressive artist. And I have that as well. So it's like singing, dancing, acting, performing, writing. So I'm into doing working on a reality show, and then also I've written books. So it's not your traditional like pottery and arts and crafts, it's the expressive arts. And then they have the how, which is the year. It's a 22-4, which is a master builder. So it's like they go in and they're like, swiping their hands together and saying, my work here is done. It's like going into a group and saying, no, this is how it has to be done. And then that's how the master builder kind of works. Then they're kind of like earth angel energy. They come into a group and then they show people how to do it, and then they back out. And that's also coinciding with the 27-9, like Mother Teresa, Gandhi. They show people the way, and then they're out, peace out. So it's an interesting combo for sure. Very interesting. But yeah, like you said, it's huge with these double 11s. It's all inner work. Finally finding that sense of truth within themselves instead of looking outside all the time. Huge year. Huge.
Awesome. 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 Well, John, I certainly hope that resonated for you and was helpful. I'm so happy. Thank you so much for the contribution. And
thank you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to connect with your energy. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if in some way, like Michelle said, you are involved in the expressive arts, or you have that opportunity to do so, and or media.
Yes.
Media. I can't emphasize that more. Writing, speaking,
Right.
teaching,
Yes.
media in some way. So, and it's going to have it's going to have a far-reaching, like I see big. I don't see small. I see broad, big and wide and broad.
I totally agree. Totally. Yeah, because like I said, the last cycle is a 7, which is like, hey, listen, I've been there. Telling them, like, expressing truth. And they have to do it in a big arena. It's like, especially the 27-9, because it takes them so long to finally find that. They get so much wisdom under their belt. It's like they have so much to share, and it's huge. It's massive because they go through the ringer and back. It's like 3 lifetimes in one kind of thing. Yeah. If they feel like that, then it's definitely, it's huge. It's global.
So happy New Year.
Yes, happy New Year.
I'm so excited for him.
Yes, I'm almost jealous. Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be off the hook. Like, awesome.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your feedback at any point. Whenever you want to come back and give us any feedback, that would be awesome.
Yes.
If you
Absolutely.
would prefer.
Yeah. So, DJ, we're getting kind of close to the end of the hour. If anyone has any other questions, you have a little bit of time to jut in there. Otherwise, we're going to kind of do a wrap up maybe and just.
Oh,
do we have any?
He works in the media. John Williams.
Well, at least he's in the right direction already. So he doesn't have to step into that. So yeah, we're getting some people still coming into Instagram. I'm just gonna.
Mary Jane sent a Venmo.
Okay, so does she have a date of birth, or is she?
Yes, Mary Jane's date of birth is, let's see.
I gotta move my paper, people. Sorry. Yeah, I'm still holding my phone with the Instagram because it wasn't charged fully. So okay, so yeah, we have some people still coming into the. I don't know how to get that. There we go. So if anybody has a question on Instagram too, we can pass it along here. So Mary Jane is what?
Well, I don't know. For some reason, I'm not able to scroll through all of the comments. It's
it's public, but I don't see it on the Facebook at all. I'm not seeing.
Oh, you don't?
No, I'm not seeing it, but it is set to public.
Yeah, no, there's comments here. It's just that if somebody adds comments at the top, it cuts off. It only allows me to see 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5 latest comments, and the comments.
Oh, whoa. Okay, so there we go. You know what? It reverted back. So here, yeah, I can see them all now.
Okay, good.
You can see them as well? Yes. So Mary Jane. Okay, so we have 5. Oh, wow, Mary Jane.
There we go.
5, 15.
77.
That's Mary Jane, I'm. Who wants to go first on this one?
You.
Okay, so double fives. Whoa. Okay, and double sevens. Whoa. Okay, so let me just add this up. 5, 10. Oh, 11. That's great. 10. You're an 8. So a lot of wisdom. Sharing wisdom is kind of your thing. But 11. This year's been huge for you in terms of like starting the year one way and ending it a completely different way. 16/7 is like a very transformational year. I always call it a volatile interchange energy. It's like you just totally don't recognize who you were from the start of the year to the end of the year. There's a lot of changes, but you have the arrow of determination, but in that arrow you have double fives, which is a number of the heart and emotions, and you also have double ones. So your determination comes out for other people more so than yourself, and it comes out verbally as well. So it has a lot to do with that. But a lot of people who have double fives are very loving people. They almost have too much love to share. And when I see a man with that, I always know they have some sort of heart related condition. Sometimes women as well, where they're withholding their emotions, they're carrying a lot of emotional baggage. So that could be the case with you as well. I'm not sure, but definitely watch out for that, like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, any of those things. You have double sevens as well. So definitely you've had some hindsight learning, some, those kinds of situations in your life. And because you have the gift of 11 and you're an 8 life path. So 8 is about knowledge and wisdom and sharing knowledge and wisdom. But then you have the gift of 11, which is the highest spiritual number. So you're wanting to always share your wisdom and knowledge. And people probably come to you for advice just automatically because they sense that about you. They sense that you have that gift of 11, but also knowledge. That's what you're here for, is to spread knowledge. And your how is a 6, which is visionary. It's like you see the dot, you can connect the dots for people when they can't see it for themselves. So if someone came to you for advice and said, yeah, I have this issue, yada yada, you'd be like, I see it like this, and this. And they're like, I didn't see it like that before. I totally didn't even notice that it could be that way. So that's definitely
the natural counselor too.
Yes, that is very much, connecting the dots for people. It's huge. And let me see. Wow, you went through some inner work right away, like right out of the gate. It was an 11 cycle. So you probably had a lot of people who are meant to guide in that way, or guide in any way, usually go through, a lot of early on stuff, a lot of, stuff that might be trauma or hardship or those kinds of things. And then there was a learning period. We've got 12/3, which is also 12/3. 12 is a whole and complete number, so everything coming together, but also learning, maybe taking classes, courses. Then there was a 5, and I think that you are still in that, if I do believe, but you're headed to an 11. So you're headed to an 8, which is all about, next year's going to be an 8 for you, which is opportunities falling into your lap like crazy. Watch for the breadcrumbs because the universe is going to put them in your lap. And it's career. So, and it's 6 as the global, so creating and career. But also you're headed toward an 11 as your last cycle. So that means that 11 is the highest spiritual number. And anybody that I see that has a cycle of 11, I always look to the last cycle. It's like, what are you here to create? What is your main mission? And 11 is the spiritual guide. So you are probably changing careers in some way, probably going the entrepreneurial way like everybody else. There's definitely career shifting coming up, but this year's been the harshest year, but next year is going to be a really fun year. So you can look forward to that for sure. All the hardship is done for you. You're done with that, and now you're ready to put it into action and, make something of it. So that's my 2 cents on that for sure. I mean, it's a no-brainer here. We've got a great date of birth, but a hard year this year.
Awesome. So you see her upcoming year as and 8, correct?
Yes, so opportunities coming to you. So watch for, like, if you meet someone on the street and they say, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a while. How are you?" And they say, What have you been up to?" And you tell them, and they say, "Oh, you should talk to so and so, or you should go do this." And your mind is saying, no," but your heart's saying, "Yes, yes, I should." Follow your heart with this, because sometimes the breadcrumbs show up in different ways. So be aware, because they'll fall into your lap, but they may not be the way that you think. They're just, they're coming left, right, and center, little hints, little drops from the universe. So you don't have to try very hard. It's a no fail year.
Mhm. So, what I find really interesting, Mary Jane, is it is an 8 year for you next year, and 8 is a very often a very karmic year, meaning,
Mhm.
like Michelle said, that there are opportunities that will present themselves that seem kind of out of the blue, can seem out of the blue, unusual, but
Yeah.
also very faded, very faded. So a
Hmm.
lot of times, karmic has gotten kind of like I'm not so sure it's a positive rap. Sometimes people think it's a negative thing. Oh, karmic, that means, I'm going to have, I'm going to have to suffer, you know.
Yeah, not necessarily. It's
No.
just a highlighted lesson sometimes.
Well, sometimes it's a lesson, and sometimes it's truly a gift.
Hmm.
And so I also equate it to, in astrology, the nodes. Many times the nodes are being activated, which is either this both the south node and the north node. The south node being things from the past come kind of back around, or full cycle, right?
Hmm.
Full circle. And the north node is about something comes mm, into either your awareness, or an opportunity comes along that actually uh, moves you even further towards your North Star, towards the thing that you are meant to do. So I would recommend that you keep an eye out and an ear out for those things.
Hmm.
And also, in the beginning, I was talking about how we get to create our stories. And a big part of this is being able to tune into the higher expression of who
Hmm.
you are, and or who you would like to be. Like, what is your heart saying? And even if it takes a little while to tune into that, what matters the most is to start to put that into practice, and start to, you know, put pen to paper to create that higher version of yourself, of your purpose, of your story, moving forward. It's all about moving forward into this new, I would say, chapter. You know, in my opinion, it's almost like a new book. There's a lot of reason to say that next year we're not only doing a new chapter, but we're doing a new book. And one of the reasons is because the nodes that I talked about are changing into Scorpio and Taurus. And that was the other thing I wanted to mention to you.
Those are so opposite, aren't they? It's like, wow.
Since you're a Taurus, Mary Jane, you are most likely going to notice, and it being an 8 year, which I equated to the nodes, I believe that this is just another confirmation of what in astrology the nodes mean. What I just explained to you, what the 8 could mean, that's what the nodes also mean in astrology. So you've got both things going on, but that doesn't surprise me, because numerology usually confirms what's going on astrologically, and astrologically
Hmm.
confirms what's going on numerologically. So I just kind of wanted to point that out to you, that there is confirmation coming through with those particular themes. You also have the planet Uranus visiting your sign of Taurus, and the planet Uranus very often is the great awakener. It does bring about events and circumstances that could feel unexpected, surprising, out of the blue, uh, but also kind of like ushering us and our lives, some component of our life, into another experience of what we may not have been used to. So I would call it unique. I would call it different. I would call it very Aquarian like, kind of like, yeah, it might seem as if it's outside of the box and it may not be comfortable to a sign like Taurus because they like to get comfortable, you know? I mean, I have no problem, you know, with that concept, get comfortable. They like to, you know, comforted on every level. They like to have their things around them. They like to, warm blankets. They like soft fabrics. They like, you know, sensory things, and they just like to feel comfortable. Well, when you have a planet like Uranus visiting the sign of Taurus, it can feel maybe a little uncomfortable, but maybe you have something in your chart. Maybe you have an Aquarius moon. Maybe you kind of, you know, are okay with that. There's an energetic pattern that is not, we can't say that for all Taurians that they're not going to like Uranus visiting, but I'm just going to mention that it is in your sign and there might be some changes that you've been resisting making. And I would say that that would be if you continue to resist, anyone that continues to resist Uranus knocking at the door to make a change, the universe is going to bring that change upon, you know, a certain, to a certain, at a certain point of resistance. It'll be like, okay, we've knocked on the door several times, given you the opportunity to change. Now we've got to take over. And we're going to have to kind of like place that change, whether you like it or not. Here it comes. So all that to say that you might want to keep this in mind as you move forward into next year. If it hasn't already started to occur, maybe you can see it from a different perspective, because the changes that are wanting to be made have definitely a silver lining. There, it's the great awakener. And so the job of Uranus, aka the Great Awakener, is to sometimes shake things up in order to progress us, to evolve us to the next level, the higher expression of ourselves. Then we have Jupiter, and Jupiter is actually going to add that flavor of, faith, have faith, spiritual, get in touch with your intuition. You know, Jupiter is really, really advocating for intuition, and there's a big push. And don't be surprised, I'm already hearing it. Don't be surprised if we hear a lot more about intuition, a lot more about spirituality. I mean, in big ways, in ways that people like Michelle and myself and all the other light workers and light warriors, which, by the way, I wouldn't be surprised if you somehow have your, I don't know, I'm feeling that if you're not a light worker, that you have the potential to be one. And maybe you're a nurse. I don't know, maybe you're a nurse, maybe you're a counselor, but there's something this year that is going to present itself that may bring you to a different perspective and opens up that portal of intuition for yourself. And you reach the next level. If you embrace it, it's going to be a very graceful and easy if way of finding that next level. So I do want to pull a card for you. And I have these beautiful numerology cards.
Love it.
Yeah. So
I have a deck that I'm preparing to publish, so hopefully it'll be in your hands sooner than later.
I would love that. Oh my gosh. I am such a collector of, but of course, all the cards that I have are just somehow serendipitously in my hands. It's not like, okay, so interesting. The card that I have for you, Mary Jane, is the card of compassion, and it's the number 99.
Ooh, high change. 99. Wow.
So I also see this, it's very Piscean. Pisces. We talked about Jupiter in Pisces and how stepping into that next level of yourself, that next evolution of yourself is coming. And so you either open the door and invite it in, or you resist it and you find yourself in situations that evolve you into it, um, whether you like it or not. So, but this is confirmation that grace and ease, grace and ease and
Mhm.
compassion for yourself, and that will open up your spiritual and intuitive channel even more. And I do believe you're a compassionate person. I can really feel it, Mary Jane.
Yeah,
So this is no surprise to see this.
absolutely. Yeah. And then we have Greg. Greg is also, I already did his chart so we could kind of
Cool.
speed things along.
Thank you, Mary Jane.
Yes, thank you. She confirmed a few things, like when I was talking about taking classes, courses, and she said, "Yes, I. That's so interesting. I started your class but never finished. So she started my class and
Oh,
didn't finish. So it's resonating with her what we're saying. But Greg has also wanted to know about his. And what's interesting right off the bat that I see, he's a 4 life path, which 4s are coming out of the woodwork, like in droves, and they're wanting to know what's going on, what I'm supposed to be doing, because I see 4 as the bridge. It's like people want to get from point A to point B. They want to go from the job they hate, the life that sucks, the all that stuff, to living their path and purpose and being happy, right? And living the life they want. But they see this big black abyss that is like between the two, and they're like, I can't take that risk. But what the 4s are, they're so practical that they say, hey, listen, you bite it off in small pieces. And so they're like, hey, yeah, I could do this on the side. I could do these little pieces. And the thing is, his gift is a 6, which means he's the visionary. So on top of being the 4, which is kind of the bridge energy that I call, it's the visionary, the dot connector, and seeing the bigger picture when people can't see it for themselves. So that's his gift. But his how is the 7. So it's about truth. It's about saying, hey, listen, this is your truth. This is, how you're going to get there, but what is it? And really seeing that bigger picture in a very truthful way, in an absolute truthful way. But the thing is, it fits so well because he has all of the intellectual numbers, all of the mind plane numbers, just 1 on the soul plane and 2 on the physical. So he's lacking. He's kind of like the lollipop I was talking about before, where you have the big head and the little stick body. But that's okay because he's not in a position where he needs to do per se. It's about giving guidance. So having that intellectual mind tool and seeing, he's got double 9, so kind of tangent thinking, and seeing further. It's like a lot of people have double 9s. Regular people are like, huh, what? Like, you're way ahead of me. And so that comes in handy with what he's doing. But this year was an 11, so it was all about inner growth for him. Now next year is a 12-3, which is whole and complete number, everything coming together. But he's in a peak cycle of 4, which means foundation shifting, but also foundation building. So he came out of a back-to-back 4. So 1 was probably more of the foundation shifting, and this is more of the building one, because it was the 4 and then the 4. But he's working toward the 10, which again, when I see a master number, 10, 11, 22, and 33 are all master numbers. So he's working toward that last cycle of a 10, which is the mentor, the grounded earth guide that teaches through casual conversation. So no doubt he's going to be helping people from here on in with crossing that bridge from point A to point B. That's what his thing is. And it's no surprise that he requested a reading at this time, because it's his time. It's like every time I see this, it's so interesting because they're asking for a reading because they intuitively know it's time. So yeah. So go ahead with what you'd like to say about Greg.
Okay. So, Greg, your personality number, the way that people see you is a 6. And very often the 6s, again, are counselors, and they also are caretakers. They're very considerate of others. They also have a certain appreciation for art and beauty, their surroundings, their environment, and they like to make things comfortable. Kind of is part of that archetype of the caretaker. So you're probably somebody who, I would imagine people see you as someone who's pretty comfortable to be around. You like relationships, you like relationship building, and your life path being a 4, you can be grounded and practical, or at least you find ways to teach yourself how to be grounded and practical. Again, that life path number can uh, either bring you into situations where it requires you to exercise the qualities of that life path, or it can create a learning experience where you garner those qualities and you learn how to cultivate them. Okay, so they become part of your portfolio, so to speak, and then you use them through your life moving forward. But there is a certain amount of groundedness as far as your personal year is concerned. You are stepping into a 3-year. So a 3-year is about creativity. It's about luck and expansion. So that Jupiter quality that has moved into Pisces is going to play a big part in your life. So keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities. Opportunities that can be on a artistic, creative level, somewhat expressive level, also spiritual. 3 is the number of spirituality, and also 3, it's the triplicity. So it's spiritual, but it's also lucky. It's also attracts opportunities for expansion, opportunities to be very positive, optimistic, and as a result, draw that even more to you than perhaps in the past. So it emphasizes all of that. So if you're interested in drawing luck, expansion, opportunity, positivity, optimism, and just plain good stuff, good vibes and good stuff, then this would be the year to put whatever needs to be put into motion, like maybe creating a new story, like maybe putting down those hopes, wishes, and dreams, and cultivating that higher expression of life as you would, like in your wildest dreams, would like to see it, because you have Jupiter very strong in your numbers, which if I looked in your chart, I would probably see as well. This year for you is like, like it's to the power of 10. Let's just put it that way. You have it more emphasized than someone who may not have your numbers. I happen to, be stepping into a 3-year as well. And I know from my own astrology chart, I have that configuration astrologically as well.
And I want to add, Gigi, 3 is also a time for publication. I always recommend, because it's that positive, optimistic, anything is possible
Yes.
energy, but it's also the mind plane, the first mind plane number of imagination. So I always tell people, if they have something to publish or something to, bring. I'm sorry, we had a little interruption there, but yeah, it's definitely a time to think about taking classes, courses, but also so it's learning, but also publication and all of that stuff. So I just wanted to add that. I think we have another person, Jennifer.
Thank you, Greg. I hope that was helpful for you.
Yes, everybody's got great dates of birth. It's interesting.
Sarah said that she wants to make sure we see her Venmo.
Okay, so Sarah, I asked for her date of birth.
Yeah, it's probably all the way up at the top. Let's see.
Yeah, I did ask for that. So we do also have Jennifer too. So if you can find Sarah's date of birth.
Sarah's is, I see she said about, let's see. said about 1111.
What?
No, 1111 meaning she
Oh,
sees 1111 a lot. So
yeah.
Sarah, I hope you don't mind if you just popping it back into, oh, there it is. 1211. Oh, there's the 11. 1211 1971.
Okay. Why don't you go first so that I can
Okay.
calculate this out? Because I already did Jennifer, so we'll be doing her next. I already have her calculated,
Okay.
but go
So
ahead with
Sarah,
Sarah.
we have, yes, absolutely. So Sarah, we have another 5. You know, I see you're a 12 and 11, so personality of a 5. And you know what's interesting, if we add the 12 and 11, we get 23. Okay.
Right, Gigi, that's the natural counselor, 23, that combination. So yeah, keep going. I just had to say that. It was just struck me.
Well, it's the royal star of the lion.
Ooh.
Yes. And this number combination is extremely, fives are already magnetic, but this number combination is extremely magnetic, and it has an extra dose of magnetism and therefore attraction. And it can, depending on your thoughts and your beliefs and the energies that you surround yourself with, you can be attracting luck and opportunities, lucky opportunities, or whatever quality of attraction that you're putting out there. So please keep that in mind. And your day of birth is 11. And so 11 brings with it the energy of inspiration, motivation, and creativity. You know, 11 is really about the creation number. It's the two ones standing next to one another. And I say it's like a portal. And so it has the energy and the vibration of being able to again attract, according to the thoughts and the energy of what we're sending, what we're actually putting out there. So it is, you've got like a double emphasis on attraction, double emphasis on being responsible to your thoughts and accountable for what you're thinking, and also connecting with your higher self. And in so doing, in connecting with your higher self and going inside and getting to know how to receive, you can channel information, and you can very well be a communicator of that energy of channeling, of what messages you get, or you can simply just get the messages for yourself. You know, you have the opportunity to do either or. And then your life path number, when we add it to the 1971, you know, it in 1971 adds up to a 9. So we're back to the number 5. And I wouldn't be surprised if you are interested in communicating in ways that will impact people on a large scale. Let's just put it that way.
Yes. Well, I have to clear my throat on that one because that was a big one. Really informative. And I agree with you about all of that. And especially you were saying the year. It's also it's a 9, but it's an 18-9, which the word love also vibrates to the 18-9. So it's a really beautiful combination of
And
the 9.
compassion.
Plus, yes, and plus being a 23-5, it's the more gentle version of a 5. The 32-5 is a little bit more unstable, kind of back and forth, but this one is a very calm, stable, natural counselor type energy where they're very, that kind of thing. But there are a lot of challenges I see in here. So they do have the gift of the expressive artist, the 5 we were talking about. So there are 5, which they're already an expressive artist, but also the gift. So they have double whammy going on there. And then it's humanitarian in nature. So whatever they're creating with that 5, with that expression, it's all about being of selfless service and being humanitarian in some way. However, they do have the arrow of frustration. So, Sarah, you definitely set the bar high for yourself in terms of expectations, but also expectations of other people as well, and situations. And so you really need to learn how to leave the door open a little bit for things that might not fit with your idea of how it's going to go or how it's going to play out. And you do have an isolated 9 and an isolated 7, which means getting your ideas across to other people can be a bit of a challenge for you, because there's a disconnect. So you have a lot of ideas, but then when you go to translate them and say, hey, I have this idea, people kind of are like, I really don't kind of get what you're saying. And then also the isolated 7 says you went through a lot of hindsight learning, which tells me anyone who's gone through a lot of hindsight learning is meant to guide, is meant to share of what they know, which is the natural counselor, of course. You also have 4 1s, which is highly, I don't want to say unbalanced, but it is in a way, because the most balanced is 2 1s with the verbal self-expression number. So you have 4, which can kind of be the chatty Cathy type energy, but only when you're not talking about yourself personally. Like if I got really personal with you and said, how are you? How are you really doing, Sarah? What's going on? Get really deep. You would tell me, but it'd be more accurate if you wrote it in an email or wrote it in a letter to me. It'd be like, there's all of Sarah, there she is. Like, it would be much more clear. So for other people, you're okay with talking, but it's the personal stuff that gets in the way. So those multiple 1s allow you the gift of verbal self-expression for people, but it gets in the way of sharing of you. So, but I want to tell you that you are this year in personal year 1, which means it was new beginnings, change, and also in a peak cycle of 7, which again could be hindsight learning, but also sharing what you know. But it's so interesting because you were in a 5 first, which meant career, and then you went into kind of a cycle of, wait a minute, is this what I really want? So then now you're in a 7, which is like, okay, I went through all this stuff and now I want to share it. So you're going into an 11-2 next year. So 1 + 1 is 2. So again, more inner work, but also because you've done a lot of inner work, it is a power number on the flip side. So yes, it's inward, but it's also because of the global year being a creative year, it's a power energy as well. So you're going to probably most likely teach or share what you know and be ready for that in some form or fashion.
Now, also, Sarah, with this 11-2 year, it can bring in relationships for you to have an experience of, and also refine and define the kinds of things that you value and what no longer works for you. So it can bring more of your emotional experience out into the open, or kind of like front and center for you. So we'll offer you opportunities to be more vulnerable, get more in touch with yourself and your emotions, and also perhaps deepen relationships that you have because of that vulnerability. So Jupiter will help with that as well. And also it will help with your faith in yourself and in the future, and in relationships, and how things can support you. So the more you get to know yourself, the more you get to be comfortable with yourself and more vulnerable, getting in touch with your vulnerable parts, your sensitive parts, and, and being okay with that, then the more your relationships will expand and feel like they're more resonant for you.
Interesting. Very interesting. See, I love it because what you're saying is like, it's just resonating further and just elaborating further on what I said. So it's I hope she's resonating with it, because it's,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, because it's so phenomenal. These people that are coming in have some big stuff going on. Like, there's no one yet that we've done a reading for that hasn't had some sort of like big news coming or something big happening. So they tend to do that when they come in groups. It's like, that's how it seems to operate.
Right.
And so we have,
Thank you, Sarah.
yes, thank you, Sarah, because it was interesting. So we also have Greg, finally. She
We did
took
Greg.
notes, she said. Oh, we did Greg. So, I mean, who was the other one?
I think there's one more person. Who else sent?
Not Greg.
There's a Jennifer, and I'm not sure if she said she sent a Venmo. Yes, she did. So Jennifer Marie is 10 to 81.
That's the one. Yes. So I thought Jennifer. Okay. So I already wrote this down so I can go quicker with this. So
Okay.
I'll go first just because I have it ready. Okay. So 1981, you're looking at wow. So you're a 4. Again, we're looking at someone who is the bridge energy. So definitely another one of those people from point A to point B helping people. But I wanted to add before with the 4 is that they tend to be very loyal, honest, trustworthy people. They make great friends. They're the best people to have as friends because of that. And your gift is a 12-3. So what your gift is for people as that bridge energy is bringing things full circle for them, bringing things whole and complete, because 12 is the whole and complete number and 3 is the number of unity. So you're bringing it full circle. But how you're doing it, your year is a 10, which is communication. So there's a lot to do with communication in there. But I want to say, you do have the arrow of skepticism. You also have the arrow of frustration, which means you set the bar high, which is good. It can definitely help. But again, you have to leave the door open a little bit for circumstances that might not meet your expectations. The arrow of skepticism can help you. Some people look at it as a negative arrow, but sometimes I look at it as holding you back just a little bit so you can examine, do I have all the facts here before I make up my mind about a decision? Mm-hmm. So that can sometimes help you. However, it can sometimes hinder too. So it depends on how you're looking at it or how you're using it. And then you have triple ones, which means, again, the chatty Cathy thing, which, you can talk, but it's more about the personal that you can't really communicate unless you're writing it down or saying it in a non-actual speech way. But you do have a lot of soul plane energy. You operate here more so than anything. Even though you are a 4, you have a lot of soul plane energy. And you went through double 3s, which is so interesting. Double 3 cycles back to back. So a lot of learning, a lot of just taking in information. And it is that first mind plane number, the number of imagination, memory, and learning, because that's, you're absorbing information. And then you just hit a 6. So the 6 energy is relationships. And then the global you're coming is also a 6. So you're probably going to see a lot of movement with relationships of all kinds. And you're in an 8 year this year, moving into a 9 next year. So 8 is that opportunities falling into your lap, different little breadcrumbs, but you may not be acting on them yet. It may possibly be in the 9 year coming that you're going to say, okay, now, because change on every level, high change, 9, and putting those into action, taking those little pieces and saying, okay, I'm going to put those into action now. So you definitely have a big year coming as well, no doubt. So what is very intriguing to me is that you're ending on a cycle of 11-2. So again, we see a master number on the end cycle, which means all of the stuff that you've been learning and building and what you will be building in the 6th cycle, you're headed toward an 11-2, which means it's a master number. It is a guiding number. That's why you're a 4. That's why you're the bridge number. And they're coming out in droves. As you can see, there's been several 4s. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? But that's what I'm seeing a lot of. So you have a big year too, huge. I mean, it's not necessarily going to be easy, but that's the whole thing. When it's more difficult, it's because you have a greater responsibility to mankind. You have a bigger purpose. You have all, it's not all bad when things are tough, because the challenges are important for you. That's how we grow and change and learn. So, it's kind of a mixed bag of tricks for you coming up. but it's all going to be worth it because you're moving into that path and purpose. It's like all the other people we've been doing, it's like they're headed towards something big, and it's their calling, it's time, it's their time. So
Mm-hmm.
so definitely, I mean, again, another big moment, so go ahead with your piece on it, I guess.
So, I think it's 10/20/1981. I lost it on the.
Yes, 10/20, yeah.
Okay. So,
10/2.
yeah, 10/2, 10/20. It's the same
Yeah, same
because
thing, because we just
yeah,
don't include the zero. Yeah, it's 10/2.
exactly.
10/2,
Okay.
1981.
10/2. Okay. So, well, first of all, you're a Libra, and uh, Librans are just based on the sun sign. I don't know the other parts of your chart, but just based on the sun sign, Librans are, you know, um, working with the idea of their home and perhaps having some changes in their home, perhaps reevaluating where they live and or the environment with where they live, and whether those particular components of what we call home are really working for them. So that's kind of up for contemplation and perhaps up for change. Um, so next year you have a 9 year, and nines are about completion, and they're about endings and really tying up loose ends. So that can come in the way of, when you've got that two, that birth date number, the day of your birth is two. So two is very often a sensitive number. Two is considered a relationship slash partnership number. So, there could be opportunities for you to either decide which relationships are no longer serving you, which relationships you want to go deeper with, whether the relationships that you're in, aside from what I just said, the relationships that you're in really represent who you are in this moment in time. We all progress, we all evolve, and sometimes we just have people around us that are pulling energy from us, draining us more than they are enhancing our lives. And one of the reasons I say this, especially right now to you, is because I was channeled to say this.
Oh.
And of course, with all my channelings, halfway through my channelings, I'm shown the astrological component to why it's meant for you to hear. And what I was just given was that Venus is retrograde right now. And Venus is having all of us look at our relationships. So, love, partnerships, money, and our values, our self worth, and our values.
That's a lot.
Right. And what do we feel about ourselves? Do we really know ourselves? Have we kind of like strayed? Have we kind of lost touch with ourselves? Do we have to update kind of like our own resume, our own inner resume, and say, hey, wait a minute, you know what? I did get, I get some achievements. I have done some things. I've kind of learned, I've garnered wisdom, and yeah, my value is kind of bigger than I thought it was, because we had this old idea and we weren't really evolving in our inner awareness of who we were and where we've come to. So there's that. And there's also Libra is ruled by the planet Venus. So
No.
for Librans and Taurus, which is the other sign that is ruled by Venus, they especially are feeling this call right now. And so with you going through a 9 year, it
Yeah.
makes so much sense to me
Mhm.
astrologically, in addition to what I picked up numerologically,
Mhm.
that you have an opportunity to clean the decks and kind of get a new yacht,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
sell the old one, get the new one.
No, you're so right, because 9 is completion, but it's like kind of like the beginning and the end of a cycle, kind of like the border. It's like we go back down to one again after that. So it's like tying up loose ends, like you said, but also it's change on every level because of that, because we're tying up loose ends and we're making those major changes. So it's like you said, sell the yacht and get a new one because you're tying up all the old stuff. And
Exactly.
that's
So sell the old real estate for the new real estate, make room for, in other words, make room for the new to come in and complete the contracts, because we come into this lifetime, with sacred contracts. We
right.
say, okay, we'll be in a relationship with you to learn this lesson.
Mhm.
And it's your opportunity this year, when I say tie up loose ends, to kind of review, reevaluate, and say, you know what, wait a minute, I have this person or these people in my life, and I never really kind of like took stock. And maybe it's time to set them free and
Mhm.
myself free.
Mhm.
And also, 9 is the year of harvest.
Mm.
So it kind of like, for me, it's almost like, in Thanksgiving, we have that, what do they call it? The horn of plenty.
Mhm.
And it's the harvest, and we give thanks for all of that. It's almost as if what spirit is wanting me to tell you is to tie up the loose ends, clear out, reevaluate, clear out, make room for new, so that by the culmination of this 9 year, you will reap the rewards and see the harvest, because you've made room as you are about to step into your 1 year of taking all of that space that you've created and get to put manifestations into action with the 1 year, which is the following year.
Yes, no, I totally agree. See, this is where I love how astrology and numerology click, because it's you've added more, but at the same time it's confirming what I also said and vice versa. So I
Mhm.
love it. Okay, so we don't have any more readings, and we've
Okay.
almost hit 2 hours, which is great. We're gonna do this again, so definitely join in again. And if you want to invite your friends, whoever, send them on over, because we'll be doing more
Yes,
readings. We're going to be doing this
I
probably a
agree.
couple times a week at least. So definitely. Oh, I see Jennifer said thank you, and
Yes.
she said sounds right. So she's good with her reading. So I want to end this live first. So I'm going to end the live. Guys, thank you for tuning in. And I'm going to end the live now, and we'll be back on air sooner than later. Okay, so I ended that. And now what we're going to do is wrap this up. So, yeah. So, Gigi, do you have any final words? I mean, I'm kind of like,
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone. It's been such a joy to be in your energy, to be able to give whatever information wanted to come through for everyone tonight. Would love to be able to for you guys to spread the word, so that we can have more people take advantage of what we're here to do. And you guys come back and, just visit us and ask questions. And there's lots of things coming up this year that are just going to keep us, you know,
on our
moving
toes.
forward. Well, moving forward, really moving forward.
Yes,
Yeah, we're always
I'm
on our
ready.
toes, right? We have to be in order to move forward.
Yeah, I'm so ready for that. So ready.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but I am like,
Better
please.
to move forward than backward.
Right. And I find this little limbo period before the new year is kind of tough. So just stick it out, and guys, it's going to get better really soon. So
We'll get there. Yeah.
yeah. So join us next time. We're going to be on again with another topic and more readings. So invite your friends, invite your family, everybody. Just send them on over to us, and we'll give them what they need to hear. So thank you, Gigi. And it's always a pleasure to be on air with you. And so good night, everybody. I'm going to say good night because it's, past my bedtime.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night, guys.